we're rolling.
Terminator 2.
Yeah, man.
Turned 28 this month.
That was probably the best one out of all of them. I
think
enjoyed
so.
it the most.
I think so. It's funny because they're rolling out a new Terminator.
Yeah, Linda's going to be back in this one.
So is Arnold.
I know.
Terminator 2, was that the liquid one? The liquid
Yeah, that was the first where you had the T-1000.
Yeah, it was with that, what's his name?
Michael...
Patrick?
Yeah. Where he came back, it was the liquid metal.
Yeah. That was a great one. Out of all of them, I enjoyed that one the most. That was one
good.
of I went and saw that with Michelle over at the AMC 5. I can remember.
Wow.
I can remember where I was
ago?
I can remember where I was when I saw it.
You know, it's funny because I liked the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the first one was pretty good because there was just a lot of great catch lines in it.
Yeah.
I'll be back and all this other stuff that he did. And I don't know. The two was good too because the tech was a step up.
It was.
But the whole Linda Hamilton character was jacked up.
Yeah.
Man, she was ripped.
Well, that was one of the first movies where you saw the actual actor go get firearms training, and she did. She actually went and got legitimate firearms training to work that movie, and it kind of showed through. I thought she did a pretty good job with it.
I think that's what gets... We talk about this in Westerns all the time.
Yeah.
When we talk about old Westerns on how they're just janky.
Yeah.
You know, the guns aren't in the period correct. They don't shoot them correctly, all this other stuff. So, yeah, it's good that they pay attention to that. It's funny because talk about paying attention to things.
Yeah.
This women's soccer, U.S. women's soccer team.
Yeah, that's been entertaining. You know, I thought Goofball was going to go away for a while there. You know, it kind of had a week where it had faded off, and then I saw in my news feed where it popped back up.
Sure.
Is this Rapinoe you're talking
Yeah,
about?
Rapinoe.
Yeah. I didn't want to say her
Well,
name.
the girl that picked up the flag really she's the one that took the news away from Rapinoe.
She did, and I was glad to see that.
Yeah.
For about a week there, she was in the forefront. And I'm thinking, all right, maybe we've got a hero we can run with here.
Sure.
And then,
well, you know, it's funny because, okay, it's her right to do whatever she wants to do.
Sure.
I
don't have to like it, though.
The problem is we have a complicit media that propped it up.
Right.
You know, they tried to make it like I am woman, hear me roar. And what's really funny is when you start getting down into the nitty gritty, there actually is a lot of falsehoods behind a lot of her claims for why she was doing it.
Yeah.
You know,
equal pay, equal justice.
But this is the age of being able to make up your own fucking definitions.
I want to put my
and that's exactly what happened.
I want to put my fist in the air. Yeah. That's all that was.
So her whole thing was over inequality of pay.
Yeah, equal pay
and racial inequality.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are the two things that, and I guess the whole LGBT thing. Okay, and that's never going to be satisfied because there's just people that believe in that, and there's people that won't believe in that. You just have to learn to live with that shit.
Right.
Because we have to learn to live with the residual as well. There's a lot of stuff I don't like, but I'm not going to waste a lot of my brain space and time worrying about it.
Yeah, who cares?
You know? But what happened here is they actually went on one of their own stations. I was shocked that CNN actually did this.
Yeah.
But they had a good debate going on about just the argument about equal pay. And records clearly show a difference there. So when you look at the women's soccer draw, they were always claiming the ratings are always the ratings. We had the highest ratings ever.
Yeah.
Only in the U.S.
Right.
Not globally.
And only in the playoffs.
Yeah, only because they were in the finals. So that just tells you that you have a lot of fair weather fans.
Exactly.
You don't have a core following of fans.
It kind of explains why it went away so quick, doesn't it?
Sure.
Because people are like, I'm not interested anymore.
Sure. That's like using the Super Bowl metric.
Sure. Yeah. Exactly. It's the most viewed Super Bowl. Okay. Because more people have TVs now. You know what I mean?
Terrible.
That just kind of doesn't it make a little bit more sense? So what ended up happening is they broke it down. They actually basically said that though the ratings were good in the U.S., men's soccer as a whole gets more ratings because more people globally watch men's soccer.
Right.
So we were out, and this is funny because we went to the movies last night, like we were talking on last podcast, and there was a guy working the bar and the taking your tickets.
Okay.
And he was watching men's soccer on TV. Had the Astros game, had a basketball game, and had men's soccer.
So he's multitasking.
Yeah, so he's multitasking. We went to a restaurant afterwards, and they had on a baseball game and they had a soccer game. It was men's soccer. Okay, so the market that you see out there is mostly men's soccer, and it's mostly global teams because the men's U.S. soccer team has not done well.
No, they haven't.
They didn't even make the playoffs. They've just not been doing so well. So they started equating some of this stuff to some math. Simple math says that women's soccer doesn't generate enough interest or revenue.
Okay.
And it was a fluke that it did this year because they had a chance to win it, and we always like to see the winners.
That and the media
Sure.
hyping it all. So.
Sure.
Right.
So they basically broke down the payout. They said payouts are salary plus bonus equals the ability to generate revenue. The women, based on the metrics, have the same chance the guys do to make money, except in one area. So the men's bonus pool is 7% of what the bonus pool is.
Okay.
So the soccer committee puts in this money in a pool. So the men's bonus pool is $400 million split amongst those winners. But why they have $4 million in that pool is because they
Viewership.
they have bigger viewership. They generate $6 billion a year in revenue.
Right.
Okay, so that's where that
T-shirt sales, beer
all the
sales,
stuff
all
that
that all
into
goes
it,
together,
all
right?
goes into that. So that's where that number comes from.
Okay.
And they only get 7% payout. That's what that number comes from.
Okay.
So when you look at women's soccer, they get a 20% bonus payout.
Wow.
Based on revenue dollars shared in their pool. They only pull $131 million.
You know, I'm not a physicist or anything, but
right.
Seems like you're pulling your equal share.
Yeah, well, no, they're pulling a bigger bonus percentage.
That's what I mean.
But they're not pulling viewership or revenue sales. So they actually have a 20% deal.
Right.
Based on a $131 million revenue share.
No, when you lay apples to apples down, they're
they
making more
deal.
money. Yeah, they're really.
Yeah.
While the money itself might not be bigger in number, the percentage that they draw is bigger. Right. I mean, and that's where it counts. You can't invent money to give people.
Well, you're going against a global structure where women aren't treated equally in all countries.
Right.
Let's just say that for sure. Right. Women are treated, and this goes completely against their argument, because women are treated actually really well in this country.
Yeah.
I've worked for 2 female CEOs, which I thought were phenomenal. Worked for one I didn't think was worth a shit.
Yeah.
And I worked for a lot of men CEOs that were horrible, and some were good.
Right.
So it's part of being human performance in a job.
Right.
Okay? And so when you see this stuff going on and you start saying, okay, look, they need to generate more money. How are they going to do it? Well, win more consistently might be one thing. I don't know.
Give me a reason to watch.
Go to some other countries and convince them to let women play.
But historically and by demographics, are women huge sports watchers? Number one.
Yeah.
If it was the Baywatch babes out there playing
soccer,
I'd watch it more.
So again, if you go
that.
back to just a basic demographic poll, no, they don't normally watch women's soccer.
So I will say this. So I'm a huge Twitter sports guy. I spend more time looking at fishing blogs and sports blogs on Twitter or postings on Twitter than I do politics, food, or anything else. And you would think it'd be the opposite sometimes. But I follow them. And I will tell you, there are some very smart women in that Twitter pool that are statistically better than some dudes I know.
Right.
And I have friends that they're females and they're sports fans, and they're very, very competitive in the information and knowledge of sports.
Yeah.
So it tells you a little bit about some of the sports they follow, though. So they follow NFL, baseball, NBA, golf, soccer never comes up in those discussions until they're in the finals.
So out of all those women you're referring to,
the ones I know,
they probably all have Patriots or Texans uniforms.
Yes. Yeah.
All men's sports.
Sure.
Yeah.
Exactly. So and so you look at that and you got to tell yourself, okay, guys, look, you got to get your game up. Okay, you got to do more to promote your sport, because at the end of the day, you're getting blown over by a big majority of other sports.
Make me want to watch it, and I'll watch it. It's that simple.
Right.
I mean, there's got to be a reason for me to watch it.
I personally don't like soccer. Okay?
I don't watch any soccer. I don't
to
watch
me,
men's, women's,
I like
dogs.
I like contact.
Right.
And I like precision in my sports. So my wife always says, well, why do you watch baseball and golf? They're the most boring sports out there.
No, that's thinking man's.
There's a lot of precision and there's a lot of chance in both of those games, because you can be an extremely well-ranked athlete. You can be the most disciplined athlete, but environment and competition levels that playing field really quick.
Yeah, it does.
It comes down to your ability to control your body and the control over your activity over an environment.
I played soccer. I didn't even fucking watch
I
it.
hate soccer.
I hated soccer. I enjoyed it. I mean,
it's a good physical sport to play.
Yes,
if you're looking to get in shape
it kept me in really good shape, but I didn't like watching it. But I can pretty much say that about all sports,
right?
With the exception of baseball. Baseball, I'm a little bit more tolerant of.
Yeah.
But for the most part,
I'll watch baseball. I'm not a big baseball watcher.
I don't watch stuff because I'd rather participate. That's kind of the reason why.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, so I played a lot of sports in school, and I played baseball, softball, volleyball, and basketball. They didn't offer football, and I did track when I was in school, so I enjoyed all those. But as recreational sports as an adult, I played golf because that's what you did at work. I enjoyed it. I wasn't great at it. I had a couple good years at it, but it's one of those games where you got to practice a lot.
Yeah.
You either have to have a gift or you have to practice a lot. Baseball, I played up until I was in my 40s.
Yeah.
Enjoyed every bit of that. Softball, same period. I played them both same time. Basketball, I can still go out and shoot, but I can't dunk or move like I used to.
Yeah.
But I can still shoot really well. So for me, those games are fun. I have never in my life enjoyed soccer. Now, I have friends that are professional soccer players and they were collegiate soccer players. I get it. But I'm not going to poo-poo on what you do.
No, hey.
Go have fun at it. It just wasn't for me. But what I get out of all this right here is because the way the reporters handle it, they were handing out all kinds of data on why these women were wrong and the moves they're making are wrong. Okay? But what he said was, and this is very political, he says, well, they're bringing awareness to the problem.
Awareness.
And the guy goes, awareness? What awareness? He goes, well, they're heroes in their own right because they are changing the playing field forever.
So this is a social experiment.
Yeah,
that's my own truth. It goes back to my own truth.
I'm not saying that because I didn't already know that. I mean,
yeah,
between all of the things that we see that show up on TV and people making inflammatory comments, those comments alone are meant for maybe somebody who doesn't keep track of all the news or keep track of a lot of the details, for them to seize on it, and then they'll go out into their own areas of influence of people who they talk to and throw that same fucking garbage out to them, and either it will spread like wildfire or somebody will call them to the carpet, so you're full of shit.
Yeah. I mean, and I can guarantee every one of them make over $100,000 a year.
I'd like to see my personal sport come back into being, and that's unicycle polo.
Oh, yeah.
Played that in high school.
Unicycle jousting.
Yeah, even better. I'd play that.
Oh, that would be really cool.
Who wouldn't watch that on TV?
I would for sure.
I wonder what my draw would be. I wonder if I could make 20%.
Right. There you go. Did you say their coach quit? The women's soccer coach?
Well, that was what was funny when I was reading is a lot of things around this soccer team were happening, with the coach resigning, I think even the assistant coach, and then this whole thing with the pay, either coming to light. I was like, holy crap, when you said that Rapinoe had kind of sort of fallen out of, so I was like, rightly so.
Yeah.
Because you don't want that name popping up surrounded by all this other garbage that's going on.
You kind of ruined your own narrative.
Yeah, and how she went about it was kind of disgraceful because when you look at the quiet champion, the person that actually makes a stand without making the most noise generally has the most impact. It's more respected that way, and it's more legitimate. To me, it's a cry for help.
Yeah,
it really is.
Look at me.
But it's funny because that kind of leads us into our next subject, and that's
a not so quiet hero.
Not so quiet hero, but he's doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So Trump rescinds medals from the 4 naval officers who lost the Eddie Gallagher case.
Yeah.
So he pardoned Gallagher.
Yeah.
For that. Because I mean, honestly,
he was convicted. He got convicted on one of the 7 charges that he was charged.
One of 7 charges,
and it was taking a photo. With a battle with the dead
with somebody he stabbed.
Yeah.
And
it's showing off the
trophy kill.
Yes.
Yeah. I think you posted something earlier about guys playing soccer with heads.
That's in Brazil.
In Brazil.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
So, the Vikings...
That was a Mayan game back in the day,
exactly,
wasn't it?
It was. Headhunters, all these people did that.
There was a video of it. Man, I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Cartels do it all the time.
Yeah.
And so, Vikings used to drink from the skulls of their...
They did.
So they would drink from the skulls of their...
So, Graham, we kind of figured you would have an opinion on this. If you want to take off on this one, I'm willing to listen.
Yeah. So I will say that Trump, the progression will be Trump didn't rescind them. he tells
he ordered it.
He tells the Secretary of the Navy, you will unfuck this. Is what you will do.
And that's pretty much what he did. And the Secretary of the Navy complied with it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they lost the case. What did they get a medal for? For participation? Is it a participation trophy?
So I tell you what, they kind of soiled that Navy Commendation Award by this kind of stuff. But when I was reading what was that defense team comprised of? Yeah. And so naturally, and I think
it sounds like the cast from A Few Good Men.
Okay,
three lieutenants and a woman. They wouldn't give her name or her rank.
But they redacted.
Demi Moore.
They redacted all of the names, all of the what their jobs were, which was rightly because none of those lieutenants.
Well, I can give you their names.
Want to?
I can give you the names of the three guys. They redacted the woman's name and rank, but they let the three men's names out there.
Really?
She requested that her name.
She requested her name be redacted. Yeah. Theirs are out there.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, the fact that these three lieutenants or four, well, I don't even know what the woman's rank was, but I'm thinking that she's an officer, particularly in JAG.
Yeah, it has to be.
Sure.
So
they wouldn't let her be a lawyer otherwise.
The fact that an officer gave themselves or wrote themselves their own commendation for an award.
That's the funny part of it.
Is the part that I find fucking amusing. Actually, anybody who was enlisted will find that shit.
They got to be looking. Amusing. That's what I'm saying. They got to be looking at going, what?
Because it's
the Naval Achievement Award.
It's all about what they can put on their
That's
OER.
What they pulled. Yeah, exactly. That's the whole thing.
Every enlisted hears this fucking bullshit all the time.
So why do you think they got that medal?
Well, they gave it to themselves.
I don't know what the criteria.
They file for it. I mean,
they can write their own.
You can request your own medal.
Really?
They can. You can write now. It'll go through your chain of command.
Right.
And so is it a hate crime prosecution? Is how they're presenting it? Is something worthy of an award? Because that's how they put this guy.
Yeah.
They basically put this guy as a hate crime.
Well, I'm not sure.
Actually,
dude, he stabbed a dude while in a fight.
Yeah. Well, when you're trying to give yourself your own award, I don't know if you would go. To me, I would think that would be kind of a no-no, is to divulge what it is that you're being a lawyer about.
Yeah. So here's how it was written. So here's how it was tweeted. Not only did they lose the case, they had difficulty with respect to information that may have been obtained from opposing lawyers and for giving immunity in totally incompetent fashion.
When the judge slapped him,
the president's.
Oh yeah.
The judge slapped him down in the case several times. They presented facts. It was a very, if you followed the case, it was a very trumped up case.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that you probably watched it.
It was to make a political statement about a Navy SEAL killing a combatant.
Right.
And to me, it's a bunch of horseshit, because in war, ROE gets more people in trouble than anything else. Yeah. I mean, how do you know? I mean, you're not there, so how do you know?
Yeah.
So when I was overseas, we had during my time was the period where the 4 Marines got caught.
Yeah.
Pissed on the fucking dead body.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But we had that event. We had 2 supposedly Korans that were either found burned,
desecrated in some fashion.
And they were associated with either they were in positive control of a coalition base, or U.S. somehow or another was tied to. But those things were what happened during my time.
Okay.
And so writing some fucking bullshit about events like that and chasing after what you think is a criminal is not unheard, particularly in today's climate.
Sure.
Oh my God.
Oh, I can imagine.
Kind of it's sort of an apologist.
Well, we've covered that before in past podcasts about how ROE is just absurd now.
It's crazy.
People,
under this
people in World War II and Vietnam and all that would have never survived.
And so the ROE will shift with what the status of the mission is, or the AO. Like,
well, the administration has a lot to do with it too, though.
Yes, it does. But I was in a campaign where it was, we were still fighting for the supposed, the liberation of Afghanistan.
Hearts and Minds. Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah. There was Hearts and Minds, but so now it's Freedom Sentinel. So you're trying Freedom Sentinel's sort of if I understood the mission, it's supposed to try to bring it closer to being sort of a democratic state. Yes, we're trying to create stability.
Yeah.
So,
but you still have a lot of attacks. I mean, we have two special forces guys that were killed this last week.
But there are metrics that you weigh into.
Yeah, I understand that, but you're still putting Americans in harm's way, and so those rules of engagement have to be very specific and very much to fit that purpose. Because also too, there was I'm trying to think of what. So those two guys were killed, and then you had oh crap, I can't find it right here.
Yeah, you're talking about the two airborne guys.
Yeah, two airborne guys, and Bin Laden's son.
Yeah, that was the other day.
Bin Laden's son is now dead, and so so you have a mission. Here's what I like about the military. Okay, under this president, is the fact that he doesn't get on TV and he doesn't give away any operational security issues. Mm-hmm. He does not brag.
He didn't tell you we're coming.
He doesn't tell you we're coming. He doesn't tell you what we're going to use. Because that's what war is about. When you're trying to stop what's going on with that movement, I would offer the president redirect his efforts within Congress and our Senate right now, because we're having problems with that shit right now with happening in this country.
Yeah.
But over there, he's doing, I feel, a really good job. So what I thought was funny was Duffel Blog put out an article, and they write some funny stuff. But there's a lot of chatter going on now about other guys thinking, well, what's going to happen to my bullshit award?
Yeah.
The participation awards,
But that's pretty much what I call them.
Mm-hmm. They have to be, yeah.
Because, I mean...
I filed paperwork.
It's no Bronze Star, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of them are getting them for that.
Yeah, because when my uncle received... He was a Vietnam vet. And so in the theaters and the AOs that he was in, he was taking fire and ticks all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he received a Silver Star. He received a Bronze Star for
Purple Hearts, all that stuff. I mean, that's the real.
I think
Vietnam was
frontline guys deserve it.
Yeah.
Frontline guys deserve it. Dude's sitting in an office filing paperwork, making reports, and all the shit. Yes. What kind of award would that guy get?
Yeah.
To me, that's the equivalent of a T-ball participation award.
I got the Jimmy Baines paper cut award.
Here's what's funny is
because I get theater awards. When
I think back to my time there, and so we always have patrols going out. Yeah. So whenever you have somebody whose main job is to not be in a platoon and walk patrols, you'll have guys that want to go outside the wire.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, you'll have officers that want to go outside. You'll have lieutenants that want to go outside the right that are not assigned a frontline platoon.
Sure.
Okay. So those guys want to go out.
So they can get a pin.
They can go and kind of put eyes on what's around us, but it's also in the hopes of getting in some sort of an altercation that will give them enough credibility to write something up that they can add to their OER, which I thought was, because I remember towards the end of our deployment, one of my lieutenants was writing something up and he was asking me something. I was like, sir, that's okay, because this is how much I didn't know about the whole awards portion of the military. I was like, that's okay. I'm okay without it. Well, you didn't have a choice. It was, this is what you're going to be assigned.
Right.
And so they come up with, because I wouldn't help them, and not on purpose I didn't help them, but they had to find the information to give me the stuff to add to my enlistment deal.
We've been on the receiving end of that, haven't we?
Yeah, we have, for sure.
We're teasing. We're just teasing.
What I like about the media is they've taken this and they basically said that Trump is going to strip thousands of awards from military personnel that deserved it. And I'm like, you know what? This is the kind of crap that just spins me up, because literally, like you said, if you're out there on deployment and you've saved a life, participated in an action, were actually in combat, I'd say that you deserve something for that.
Now it's funny that you say awards, because this was a notification I just received from my old unit to let me know that a new award has been added to my DD-214 because it was a unit commendation. I was like, cool. As long as it's on my DD-240, I don't give a shit.
There you go. I just think it's hilarious.
Speaking of spun up, I'm part of this group on Facebook and on YouTube It's the YouTube Union. It's pretty interesting.
Yes. I want to know more about this.
Yeah, this kind of gets into the defunding. How this got started was there was a channel on YouTube called the Slingshot Channel. It was run by a guy named basically George.
That was a cool bunch of videos.
He is. He's a German guy. It's George, but his name's George.
Yeah.
In America.
Built some of the coolest machines I've ever seen.
Dude, he built all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah. So this all started a few years back. YouTube started unfunding and defunding these channels. Well, Jorg generated millions and millions of hits and actually made a pretty good living on his Slingshot channel, and rightfully so. The guy drew a lot of traffic to YouTube, and so in the process, YouTube finally got tired. This is the scuttlebutt that YouTube finally got tired of trying to draw money from multiple advertisers, and then came about the idea of having big advertisers like movies, like Disney.
So it's corporate.
It is. They went the large corporate route. Yeah. And what happens with that is Disney says, okay, I'm no longer going to allow you to fund Jorg. What I want you to do is promote our guy, and we're going to stick our ads. Doesn't matter who it is. We're going to stick our ads in everybody's YouTube video. But this is the guys that we want promoted. And that's how this all, basically you ended up seeing shows and things like that with YouTube channels that ended up getting all the funding from YouTube.
So does this guy still add videos now?
He does, but it's not nearly to the extent. He does more work with this YouTube Union.
Is he on Patreon? Does he go to Patreon?
He is. He's got a Patreon channel. Right. He's moved a lot of his stuff, and that's where a lot of people have moved to, is Patreon, that want to get funded. But again, I don't know your content. I'm not going to... Basically, I have to know you for me to come pay you. I'm not going to pay somebody new to get on Patreon, so it's really hard to be a Patreon.
I agree. Yeah, because everybody's fighting for that dollar.
It's the content, exactly. So I need to see your content first, and the way Patreon works is there's no free content for the most part.
Right. Yeah. You have to join it?
You do. You have to join it. You have to pay for content, and you pay per channel.
Yeah, it's not a huge amount of money, but still it's
very inconvenient.
Well, yes.
Because YouTube, so we always laugh about falling down the YouTube hole.
Sure.
And spending hours just searching through YouTube.
Yeah.
And that's how these people get popular. That's how they get their hits.
Right.
Is by people spending hours trolling through YouTube. And now, listening to the story here, because like I said, that guy was one of the first guys I started watching.
Yeah.
Because you always go, what's the most popular views?
Right.
So, and that's changed. That landscape.
Well, and
that
used massively. To, and that's part of George. That's part of George's problem, or Jorg. That's part of his problem is YouTube specifically sorts content not based on hits anymore or popularity. They really manipulate the data that you see
based on
when
keywords?
You type it. Yeah, it's if let's say I wanted to search slingshots, just an example. Jorg should pop up first because the guy has the most hits. Well, that's not the case. And I'm using this as an example. Let's say one of these big corporate shills has a Slingshot channel. Theirs is going to be first every time, whether it's
legit or not.
Right, whether it's popular, whether the content's good.
Because the advertising dollars?
Right. Yeah. And they run the advertising dollars to that guy. Because that guy's going to get on there and promote whatever the product is for YouTube and for the corporate shield.
So for everybody that's in this position that this Jorg guy's in, is there anything that they can do on their end to fight against the algorithm?
So it's interesting you say that. Yes, they've tried to do that, and at every turn that they've fought against the algorithm, it's been shut down.
Because I was going to say either that or they tweak the algorithm.
They do. Basically, YouTube controls the algorithm, which is all. So we're going to get into that all in a minute here, but YouTube controls that algorithm, and so they fought against that. So where they're at now, this is where Jorg's at now, and I kind of appreciate this, is Jorg's gone and got one of the largest unions inside the European Union.
Right.
It's the Steelworkers Union over in Germany. Okay. And they unionize a bunch of other stuff. And I'm generally by far not a union guy.
Doesn't that include the entire country of Germany?
Pretty much. I mean, that's why it's so large over there. But they're a union to other parties inside the EU itself. And basically, this union is bringing to bear lawyers and monies to change YouTube's mind. So they've got some big guns in this fight. For a long time, there was just Jorg screaming at the face of YouTube.
Sure.
And now he's really got some legitimate backing. So I anticipate this taking off at some point, and possibly YouTube reversing some of its draconian policies towards paying people.
Who is? I mean, like, okay, so competition for YouTube would be Vimeo, because I think you bring up
Vimeo.
Vimeo
There's
or
MeWe. There's several that were out there for a long time, but none of them ever gotten the traction.
No, not like YouTube.
And there's a reason, but there's a reason for that. Is YouTube is owned by Google, right. So there again, when you have a monopoly, something the size of Google that basically controls what can be seen on the internet. I mean, all metrics, whether you want to admit this or not, all metrics are controlled by Google at this point.
Well, they're in that huge NSA data farm program too.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got government backing, and there's been a lot of calls lately for YouTube to be broken up, and I've really not YouTube. I'm sorry, for Google to be broken up.
Right.
And I'm really behind that. I mean, it's really truly.
Well, one of the Google founders one of the Facebook founders came out and said that it needs to be broken up too.
He did. Yeah. He did. He explained that, they control so much of what you can see on the internet when you type in a search that it's not fair. I mean, it really isn't fair. You've got a device that basically every industry in the world depends upon now, which is the internet.
It's really an assault to free thought.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
At its most base, yes, it is.
When are they not after your First Amendment rights? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What was the name of that lady that one of the executives that said that the elections?
She was a higher up inside of Google, and she basically said, "We're not going to let this happen again." I'm paraphrasing to a large degree there. I'm sure Ken can search it up here while I'm talking.
That's what I'm doing.
She basically came out, and again, I'm paraphrasing, we're not going to let the Trump election happen again. We can't allow this to happen again.
I'm familiar with this comment.
So when you have a company that's got that much stroke and has the ability to do that,
Jen Janai.
That's her.
And the thing that's crazy is that you will have people out there who agree with this.
Oh yeah, they're okay with it.
If you look at this as, okay, you're basically saying it's okay for you to take people's right to vote any way that they want. You want to take that away because you don't like the choice that they made.
Yeah, that's exactly the point.
That is fucking crazy.
It is, but if you look at how he managed his election campaign from 2014 into the election, he was a huge social media guy.
Yeah.
Twitter,
well,
Instagram,
for the most part, he's just been a personality.
Exactly. He knows how to use the media. Yeah. So what ends up happening is the media says, "Whoa, we got to fix this from happening again."
Yeah.
So
he's stabbing us with our own knife.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we were talking about ageism at the last podcast. This is a prime example of that. Here's a 70-plus-year-old business mogul using technology
to beat them,
created for young people
that
are beating them at their own game, and now they're pissed off. So now they're going to stack the deck. I mean, she's very clear. This was in a meeting that was recorded,
right?
And other Google execs,
I think it was Veritas that broke this.
It was Veritas is one. Project Veritas.
That's right up their alley.
It is, and they're really good at that.
Yeah.
And so that broke, saying that she's going to prevent the next, or try to prevent the next Trump situation.
Okay.
So what I think is funny is I love progression. So when I watch these things happen, we all agree that it's a matter of time before Google has to break up. I mean, look at all the formats that came before Google.
I agree.
Look at, what was it, MySpace, all these other things.
And engine-wise, you had like Lycos. I mean, you can go back to the beginning. Yes. Lycos with AdWords and all that stuff.
So you had all these things that got built up and bought up.
Yeah. Stolen. And Google's, and I'm going to go ahead and say it, Google stole AdWords from the Lycos.
They did, yeah.
I mean, they are living on stolen technology.
Right.
They firmly believe, and this is what they tell the public, and this is where people buy into it, is, well, if you don't let us exist in this format, we can't provide you the services that we provide. And that's a lie.
Right.
That's straight up a lie.
Right.
Basically, it eliminates their control. It's not that they would quit making money. It's not that they would lose money. It's that they would lose their control.
And they're like any good virus. They're always seeking a healthy host to keep it alive.
Absolutely.
So what they do is they intertwine their way in with the NSA and the government. They become financially so big, it's almost like Wall Street banks. They're almost too big to fail.
Right.
And they present that.
That's a great analogy.
And they present that defense.
The social justice warrior of the internet.
Right. So they project themselves as that entity that, well, if we fall, everybody comes with us. It's a bunch of dominoes just tumbling.
If you've ever watched any of the, just Facebook in general, when you watched Zuckerberg get up there. That's pretty much what he said. He's like, look, you can't take us down. You can't take us apart. Look at all this that you would destroy if you did.
Right.
And that's always been their premise.
And it's funny because, so about 2 weeks ago, they had a problem with you couldn't transmit pictures and download photos and stuff like that.
And that's not the first time that they've had that.
No, problem. Not at all. And to me, it's just they're just running a black flag on it.
Yeah.
But look how many people freaked the hell out.
Yeah.
People lost their minds because they had 3 hours of, actually a day of unable to use it.
What's funny is Twitter is the complaint department for.
Yes, it is.
Is that where it all landed?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they own that. That's the best part of it is Facebook owns. Not Twitter. I was thinking Instagram.
Instagram.
When those two were down, people flocked to Twitter.
Yeah.
And that's the complaint department for social media. Period. So.
Right.
And it's funny because when we look at that. And look at how much time it occupies. I wrote down some stats the other day. I can't find them. But just say, for example, they were saying that the average person spends, it's like 10
12 hours. I think
it was 10 years ago. It was 6 hours a day on their computer answering emails and voicemails and stuff like that. Now it's 12 hours.
12 hours on social media.
Social media.
And now what's funny is in that 12 hours, how much of that time is spent looking at like email. I'm going to say 0 because
probably not.
I am guilty about not even checking my own email.
Right. So my email gets pretty big, and the tough thing about Gmail is they give you like a gazillion bytes of storage to store all your. It's like I'm not even
cost them anything.
I've got like 40,000 emails, and I haven't even touched the surface. But what I think is interesting about this is the Breaking Bad aspect. Okay, we're talking about the breakup. We're talking about all the warnings these guys are putting out there.
Yeah.
Let's kind of talk about something that's a little more concerning about that to the average person, and that's this latest thing about social media sharing. Okay. So there was an article that came out where millennials, which are reaching their 40th birthday, believe it or not, that's pretty scary.
Yeah.
Because I'm worried about what they're calling the herd behind these clowns because they're nuts.
I think that's a good name for it right there. The herd behind the clowns.
Yeah.
The Zennials or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. And which is they're even further out of bounds. So the millennials are upset because their parents, or would be their kids' grandparents, are posting pictures of their children on Facebook and social media, exposing them to, and I hate to do the air quotes, I'm not that guy, but I just did it. I feel like a dork for doing that. But I do. I hate that.
We need to come up with a sound effect that makes pictures us doing
is quoting.
Ken is quoting. Doodle doodle. Some stupid thing. So I never do it again. So it's funny because they're saying, well, you're opening up our children to sexual predators.
Right.
And all this other stuff. Because in Houston, I think it was either Houston or San Antonio.
It's a hub for that.
It is. And they caught a guy trying to sell a 9-year-old boy.
Oh, my God.
On Monday. They literally intercepted that as it was happening.
They just need to beat that dude on the spot.
He should never make it to jail.
Never make it to jail.
Yeah, never.
Just dump him off in the bio. It would work itself out.
He was standing, and then next thing you know, he was a big blood puddle.
Yeah.
That's what.
So we have a gator problem in Texas. We have hogs and gators.
Yeah.
They need to haul their ass over to Anahuac and drop them at the swamp with nothing.
That problem would go away so fast.
Nothing but a sharp stick and a flashlight.
You got some healthy gators over here.
Yeah. And it'd be like Running Man. Literally, just be like Running Man, and it would take care of a lot of that. Well, so we're a sanctuary city here in Houston, which is really sad, and it's created some serious problems for us in a lot of ways, and that whole sexual predator thing. But they're talking about now apps being trolled by predators.
It's basically a target. It's basically a target maker for them.
It is. Nextdoor, all these things where people are getting their homes broken into. And what's really sad is almost every video you see now, or every post you see, people actually have the video of the people breaking into their house with good faces on them, and they're getting away with it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of sad. Because there's actually evidence of, I'm at work and I'm looking at my house being robbed and nothing's being done to stop it.
Right.
So you have that. Then you have the millennials complaining about their parents putting pictures of their kids on there. I will say, we've talked about this over the years that we've done this. It's your responsibility to monitor what you put on social media. Now, a lot of seniors look at it as it's like a photo album, or it's an instant messenger between friends.
Right.
They don't understand the security concerns.
They don't.
The repercussions,
And look at the irresponsible behavior Google has exhibited.
Yeah.
With your security protocols.
They just throw it out there, and if you, again, it always lands back on you, and you've got people that are naive in this situation.
Right. I want to say in Google Maps, if you like travel down the street at bird's eye view, but last time I went there, you could not see the addresses.
Yeah, they've changed a lot of that. Policy. Yeah, they really have changed a lot of that. Google, for a long time, you couldn't hardly get on Google Maps.
Yeah.
There was a lot of problems logging in and getting on Google Maps.
Yeah.
So they were working on stuff.
They had to.
Because can you imagine the task that would be? I mean, that's a lot.
Again, you would almost need AI to go and tackle all that, because there's no way you could have a human force big enough to
you have those guys that drive those cars that had the globe.
Yeah, the globes on the cars. Yeah,
you know, people chase them off.
Oh yeah.
So. Which I think it was, dude, you're chasing a car that's got a camera looking at you. Right. Are you kidding me?
Well, it's funny because the big thing was people were searching for the odd things you would find on a Google map.
Right.
Yes.
Like that dead body laying by the river that one time.
Yeah, it was out on a pier.
They caught a couple freaking going at it on the side of a hill one time.
I missed.
Yeah, that was funny.
So, that was a big thing. And then a lot of the predators would use those for ways of, how do I get in a neighborhood? How do I get out of a neighborhood? Sure. And what's really sad is all the technology for convenience,
it's always going to be used
against you
every time.
And it's unfortunate, because we're sitting here living in an age now where you can't even, so we talked about my friends earlier about using their phone app to control their heating, their air conditioning, their refrigerator, their whole house.
It's all open security portals for you.
And they don't realize that.
Yeah.
They don't realize that. They believe that there's a firewall. They believe what the big print tells you.
Yeah.
But they never read the fine print. And the fine print takes all that away. And it's really sad, is because you basically are leaving yourself wide open. I keep going back to the Breitbart guy that got killed in the car, where they were actually questioning, because it was his ABS brake system that they used to crash him into that palm tree in the middle of that median of the road. Right. It killed him.
Right.
And then about a month later, you watch a special on TV where kids are hacking into a car and they're turning on the heater, the air conditioner.
Right.
They're locking up the ABS brakes. So, it's funny, as convenient as they are, these things really are vulnerable. And going back to the Google, they're so big and powerful, yet they're leaving you vulnerable. We were just talking about, 100 million Social Security numbers were compromised.
Oh, from Capital One
again.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, at some point in time, you as a consumer have to fight this. You have to sue somebody. You have to make them accountable for that. These guys are walking away with huge paychecks.
Oh yeah,
with your money out there with your money.
Here's the thing about those 100 million, the 100 million
Social Security numbers.
Okay, so of those numbers, the most vulnerable portion of that number were people who are in financial dire straits.
Yes.
So if they are crippled in any way, it would be devastating for them to even recover. But I've got friends that are on that level of data center management stuff, and even those guys are going, fuck. Thank God we're not them. Because they're with credit companies, they're with other banks that they've got data farms everywhere.
Yeah.
And they're looking at this going, fuck me, man. I'm glad this is not us.
Right.
Oh my God.
It all comes around full circle. Back to Terminator 2 where we started. The AI has got your information. They've just got another way to kill you now.